Please, everyone, would you please rise for the singing of our national anthem by Ms. Taylor Anderson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
There's a principle that the only constant in life is change. So you all have programs in front of you, but before we begin, I'm going to introduce one of our grand marshals and the man who made tonight all possible. Let's please give a round of applause to our incredible Borough President, Eric L. Adams.
Thank you so much, and this is an exciting weekend as the flag flies over Borough Hall, signifying how we are all proud to have pride here in the borough of Brooklyn. And I think that in my brief comments, I'm going to just share with you the song, The Star-Spangled Banner, always resonates with me. I believe from time to time, when people state in the land of the free and the home of the brave, the most important part of being free is having the ability to love who you want, no matter what laws or what criteria are put in place to prevent that from happening. And I would say year after year, as I stand in front of this crowd or any other crowd, I'm happy that I was part of the legislative body in Albany that cast a vote for marriage equality and made it happen. History has shown us that courage permeates every generation, but it also has shown us that from time to time, courage skips a generation. We can allow courage to skip our generation. There's so much more we have to do. Merely being able to put on a ring and embrace someone you love is just the beginning. Not until we see all the laws that are torn down that prevent people from dressing the way they want, interacting the way they want, entering school or any building the way they want. Not until real equality takes place, then those bombs that burst in the air really will have a relevant or significant. When one gives their life for this country, this borough, or this city, one does not ask what is their sexual preference or what is their gender. You merely give back in a very real way. When you pay your taxes or give back in any financial means to the greatness of this city or this country, it is not determined that you can just check off the box and say, please alleviate my tax liability because I am gay. You pay it, and if you pay it, you should receive the same services, the same respect, the same dignity that all other groups have received. And so, in the spirit of Harvey Milk, and the spirit of so many who have come before you, it is now time for us to continue the long-running epic. This is only the sequel of those who came before us. And so the question we must raise is, are we going to put on as good or better of a production than those who put on before us? We did not get the gains that we are receiving or have achieved because it was us. It was those who planted the seeds, and it was your commitment and dedication and sweat that allowed the seeds to be watered and to grow and produce some of the successes that we have now. But we have a long way to go. So much more have to be done. As long as countless number of youth are running away from home and finding Christopher Street as their safe haven because nowhere else in the city will allow them to be who they are and who they would like to be. As long as parents are throwing out their loved ones and denying their ownership merely because they say, I am gay. As long as school system and politicians and even members of the law enforcement community treat gay domestic violence incidents different how they treat straight incidents. As long as we have all of those indirect or others considered to be insignificant moments that are treating us differently, or not allowing us to be who we would like to be, or allowing you to be as true to your heart and what you desire, then we have a long journey in front of you and in front of all of us. So I commit to you, just as I did as a police officer, one of the most supportive members of GOAL, just as I did as a state senator pushing through legislation, just as I'm going to do as borough president, one of the baddest boroughs in the city of New York and in the country, I'm going to continue to be committed to what we do. Brooklyn does it best, and we're going to have an amazing gay pride parade. And you've had many marshals before, but you will never again, in the past or in the future, have one as attractive as I. Thank you very much. So my man Carlo, come on up and join us on this first openly gay city council person, Mexican descent.
How you doing there,
breaking barriers.
And Grand Marshal also.
Breaking barriers.
Oh, wow.
So we want to give us a special proclamation to the person who has held it down for so many years here, and he did not realize he was receiving it, but we want to call up Jerry. Jerry, all right, come on up. Jerry just has been the symbol, and a lot of the staff is here. Keisha, Lori, Sandra, Sylvia, and Stephan, who is acting like he's taking pictures. He doesn't have any film, you know. And Kevin Wolf. We just, we really love Jerry. Jerry means so much to Borough Hall, and he really was he gave the clarion call that cascaded out of this building and really permeated throughout this entire borough. Nancy is also in the back on the purpose of pride and how it had to have a place here in Borough Hall. Jerry, we cannot thank you enough. And I'm just going to go down to the third paragraph. Whereas Brooklyn Pride is a nonprofit, all-volunteer group that serves the largest LGBTQ community in Brooklyn, and the organization and all of Brooklyn are eternally grateful to Jerry Orred for spearheading the group's creation, as well as for advancing their many contributions, which include the annual Multicultural Festival and Parade, workshops and annual toy drive, the Pride Guide, a nonprofit resource book, as well as Brooklyn's first LGBT cookbook, which honors Brooklyn gay-owned and gay-friendly restaurants. And whereas on behalf of all Brooklynites, I salute Jerry Orred for his unwavering record of advancing the cause of unity while celebrating diversity. I commend him for his tireless efforts to produce countless popular and successful events at Borough Hall and beyond. And I thank him for helping us to move forward. I thank him for helping us to move forward as one Brooklyn. Now, therefore, I, Eric L. Adams, Brooklyn Borough President, Jerry Orred, retirement celebration. Enjoy your retirement sign, Eric Adams, Brooklyn Borough President. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. No, you don't take the deep. And I also want to take the time to say congratulations to Kaz, Vaughn, Michael, and S. Lee, who are also honorees tonight. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. Let me take a quick photo, Jerry.
Just want to say a few words. Thank you, everyone. I cannot believe that we started this thing 18 years ago. This is our 18th year. Many of us are still here that were with us then. I would just like to know, how many people here have either helped us or been on our board? If you would raise your hand over there. See, it's very important. It's very important that people get involved to help the movement, to help other people grow up, come out and things like that. And it's just very important. Sonia, so good to see you again. Sonia was my first co-chair 18 years ago. Brooklyn Pride, I don't know if you know, started with, let's see, we had me, we had a white larger man, not me yet, but that's later. Then we had a black transgender, and we had a drag queen, so we started off with that. And then after that, I looked at our crowd and said, we need women involved. So Sonia, who knows everyone, brought in people. She brought in Audrey, which is sitting next to her. And with them and everyone's help, yes, and of course Kaz was there. So we started with a very large group. So my thing is, please get involved, do things, get out there. And it's amazing, sort of, I got one of these awards when Howie Golden was here. And I waited 12 years for Marty Markowitz to give me one of these. He didn't do it. But so I have to thank Eric Adams very much. So with that, thank you very much. I will see you Saturday. It'll be a very fun time. We have a great event, and I appreciate all your support. I know that you heard that last year I was going to retire. Well, I didn't. So, but I am now. I've been out of the building for 3 weeks now, and I have to say, I'm enjoying it. So, I wish you well.
Let's give a quick welcome and hear a few words from our Brooklyn's first openly gay LGBT city councilman. Let's put our hands together for Councilman Carlos Menchaca. And another Grand Marshal for 2014.
Thank you, Mickey. Thank you so much. And welcome today, bienvenidos, buenas noches, to Brooklyn's LGBT Pride event here at Borough Hall. It gives me so much pride to be wearing this sash as a Grand Marshal. In so many ways it symbolizes the journey that all of us are taking in our own lives as we fight towards justice. What is so important about the words you heard tonight from Eric Adams, our new borough president, who's sending this message of One Brooklyn, is that he represents what we need in our community, and that's the allies. Our allies are so important as we move through this work, and it's just so difficult to do this alone. And so I'm just real proud to be here with our borough president and all his staff, and the commitment that they're making each and every day to carry the legacy that the Brooklyn Borough President Marty Markowitz left is just such a pleasure for me. It's a pleasure for me because I was here emceeing this event many times, or a couple times, or with Jerry Allred, who just got an award, and who I have to thank so much. When I came in with a very young spirit, it was Jerry who wrote me in and said, you got to get involved. And his message was even then so loud, and I did. And he shared that opportunity with me. And I take that with me every day when I go out, and I ask people to do the same, to join this journey with me. And it doesn't matter who they are, if they're gay or straight, transgender, bisexual, gender nonconforming, straight allies, people just wanting to help. You bring them on board and you carry them with you, because there's no way that this could happen. And this is why it took so long for us to finally elect a legislator in Brooklyn, because it took that much effort for us to get here and bring that representation that is just so important for our borough, the largest borough in the city. And not only did we do that, but the LGBT community also elected the first Mexican, and that's another important component to what we do. It took the LGBT community to do that, and that's the partnership that we're doing. And as chair of the Immigration Committee in the City Council, I'm just so proud to be doing that work where our immigrant communities and our LGBT communities are coming together in a way that we're able to impact both communities at the same time. And we're doing that with the municipal ID program, for example, that we're about to pass very soon, and we're in negotiations with the mayor to make sure that people have identification cards so they can say who they are. and be able to interact with NYPD, our police officers, to be able to interact in the expression of their gender. These are so important for our communities, and it's just so wonderful to be there in your spirit, in your service, really. And I take that very, very seriously. So I will see you on Saturday. I will see you with a big smile. I hope it doesn't rain, and even if it does, we're gonna be very, very out and proud. And no matter what, rain or shine, we're out there. Thank you for choosing me as your Grand Marshal. I will make you proud, and I'll continue to fight with you because we all know that si se puede. Thank you.
This is an incredible day, week. I don't know how many of you took the time to look above Borough Hall as you were approaching. The LGBTQ, the pride flag, is flying proudly above Borough Hall. And if I'm not mistaken, we are the only borough that flies that flag above Borough Hall. And if it's not the only, we've been doing it the longest. Because if you're going to do it right, you do it in Brooklyn. As Jerry said, Brooklyn Pride is 18 years old, and our theme this year is coming of age, and it's been an incredible experience. But since Borough President Adams took all of my welcome lines, we'll just move right on ahead and ask you to please silence your cell phones or turn them off, or we can dance to it. There is one other comment I do want to make before we introduce our guests tonight. I want you all to take a moment and look around the audience today. Look around everyone here. We used to have a reputation among the LGBT and Brooklyn Pride of being an all-white organization, an all-white event. I am so moved and so touched that we are truly, as former Mayor Dinkins called it, we are a wonderful mosaic here tonight. And as Eric Adams says, we are all one Brooklyn. So it is exciting to see you all here tonight, and give yourselves a hand. We have some incredible honorees tonight, and I'm so thankful that the Borough President chose these people. I've been blessed to know them all for a while now. And before we go into that, let me also, well, I'll take that later. Our first honoree is Michael Camacho. Michael Camacho is the Regional Director of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Los Angeles-based AIDS Healthcare Foundation is a global organization providing cutting-edge medicine and advocacy to more than 200,000 patients in 28 countries. They are the largest provider of HIV/AIDS medical care in the U.S., a truly independent voice in the mission to rid the world of AIDS. AIDS Healthcare Foundation's operating capital comes from its own self-created social enterprises. AHF pharmacies, thrift stores, healthcare contracts, and other strategic partnerships generate funding that helps AHF provide medical and advocacy services across the globe. Generating and defining new innovative ways of treatment, prevention, and advocacy is the hallmark of their success. They are currently leading a mass testing initiative to identify and treat the 25 million people who don't know they are infected. By advocating big goals, aiming to see an unprecedented 1 billion people tested each year, AHF hopes to eliminate older, more time-consuming methods. Since 1987, AHF has cared for thousands of people living with HIV and AIDS worldwide. As they create and implement unparalleled programs and new policies with the sole aim of saving more lives, you can see more at www.aidshealth.org. That's the written part. AIDS Healthcare Foundation and Out of the Closet. If you haven't visited Out of the Closet thrift store on Atlantic Avenue, you're missing out on an incredible opportunity to see a wonderful organization do wonderful things. They recently opened their pharmacy at the Out of the Closet. There's an article about them in your Pride Guide. I wanted to also personally thank Michael Camacho because through him, AHF has become Brooklyn Pride's largest sponsor, and for 2 years ago, they came to Brooklyn and said, we're going to bring our condemnation truck for the parade, not to Manhattan, not to Queens, not to any other borough, but this huge 18-wheeler truck came roaring down the streets of Brooklyn and to Fifth Avenue and joined our parade. And last year, AHF introduced for the first time anywhere the 1-minute HIV test at Brooklyn Pride Festival. There's a lot to be said for what's going on in Brooklyn, but we want to thank, and the Borough President wants to openly thank Michael Camacho for the work he's doing through AHF. We'll give a round of applause to Michael Camacho. The proclamation, I could read a great deal of it, but the last paragraph says, whereas, on behalf of all Brooklynites, I salute Michael Camacho, a prominent member of the community. I commend him for being an avid supporter of the LGBTQ community and for working with so many to promote HIV and AIDS prevention, as well as to provide HIV/AIDS services for those in need through his position as New York City Regional Director of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. I applaud him for his outstanding record of advocacy, and I thank him for all that he has done to help our community move forward as one Brooklyn. Now, therefore, I, Eric L. Adams, President of the Borough of Brooklyn, do hereby confer this citation on Michael Camacho.
So I'll keep it brief because I know we've got a lot of other folks and festivities to get to. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to the Borough President's Office and Eric Adams and the Brooklyn Pride Committee for this honor. You know, it kind of was unexpected, and Mickey told me about it sometime last week, and I was taken back a little bit. You know, about 24 years ago, as a kid, I was in Los Angeles, and it was an afternoon. I was hanging out in West Hollywood, and there was a march of people going by, and it was a group called Queer Nation, and it was that group, and I decided at that time, I was like, hey, let's go see what this is about, and I joined in, and then I became informed about what was going on, and I became informed about what was going on within the LGBT community in Los Angeles, and it was that moment that sparked the advocate inside of me, and has been with me for the last 24 years. When I went into HIV work, advocacy has always been a part of my work, and when I came on board with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, they were actually encouraging me to go on the street and hold up a sign and cause a lot of trouble and question what people are doing and the decisions that people were making. So I said yes and accepted the job. And then the next part of that was to come to Brooklyn. Because a lot of stuff was going on in Brooklyn, and we didn't quite have a hold of what was going on here in Brooklyn around HIV/AIDS. So AIDS Healthcare Foundation, with some insight from myself and other leaders around the community, said, let's make Brooklyn our home. So Brooklyn is the home of AIDS Healthcare Foundation for the Northeast. We've set up shop here, as Mickey shared. We've got the Out of the Closet thrift store. We've got our pharmacy. And 96 cents of every dollar goes back into care for people with HIV/AIDS. So I welcome everyone to come down, check out our site. We're at 475 Atlantic Avenue. You're going to see us this weekend. And again, just thank you for this honor, and thank you for Mickey and Jerry, just for making me part of the Brooklyn family. Oh, thank you. There's one person I would like to thank for putting up with me for the past year and a half, and that's my partner, Merch. I have to say, having known each other for 8 or 9 years, and having come together about a year and a half ago, I thank you for putting up with me, for listening to me rant and rave when I need to, and just give me space, and also for supporting me, and when need be, picking up that sign and going out and taking to the streets as well. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy Pride.
Before we go any further, there were 3 people you saw coming up with us to take the photo op, and I want to make sure you understand the wonderful work these people are doing. You've already met Jerry Allred, our treasurer, and everything. So Jerry Allred's our treasurer, the rest of the board here. Todd Fliedner is our volunteer coordinator. Todd? This is Todd's first year with the board, and someone who makes me smile all the time, I'd like to introduce our media person and just all-around incredible person, Hutch. I'll do more plugging later, but tonight after this event, Hutch is having Hutch's event. I'm learning. Hutch is having Hutch's event at Homegrown at Tutu's, 25 Bogart Street. So after you stuff your faces here and dance a little, go over to Bushwick for Hutch's event. Our next, I get a little emotional at these things. Please forgive me. It's my right as a gay man to do that. In 1986, Gay Men of African Descent, or GMAD, was conceptualized in New York City, a result of the vision of founder the Reverend Charles Angel, who together with a few of his closest friends embarked on a mission to empower black gay men. Historically, black gay men have been forced to prioritize their battles as if each was mutually exclusive. They were not simply just black, not just gay, not just men, or not just gay. They were all 3 of these things. Reverend Angel's goal was to create an environment in which black gay men embraced each aspect of their lives publicly and without shame. Thus was born the first serious attempt to mobilize this group of men who, up until that point, had lived their lives in the shadows, often in fear, shame, and alone. In starting GMAD, a platform was created to help fill the void of these men's lives by providing the opportunity for fellowship, group support, and family. GMAD provides prevention, supportive advocacy, and social services to black gay men of all ages. GMAD also has a youth group that is going to be this year's recipient of a portion of the proceeds from Brooklyn Pride's 5K run. On a personal note, GMAD has been there for the Brooklyn Pride organization for a long time, and we really appreciate our partnership and our relationship. I'm going to ask everyone from GMAD to please stand if you're here from GMAD tonight, and I'm going to ask their executive director, Vaughn Taylor, to come forward. The best part is being able to put my arm around these wonderful men. Whew. Whereas on behalf of all Brooklynites, I salute Gay Men of African Descent, Inc., a prominent gay men's organization of the community. I commend them for their mission of empowering gay men of African descent through education, advocacy, health and wellness, and social support. I applaud them for being one of the remaining 8 indigenous black gay agencies in the country, and I thank them for all that they have done to help our community move forward as one Brooklyn. Now, therefore, I, Eric L. Adams, President of Borough of Brooklyn, do hereby confirm this citation on gay men of African descent. Please welcome their Executive Director, Vaughn Taylor.
Thank you very much. It's humbling to get this kind of recognition, to do the work we think that needs to be done under condition we do every day. I think that our work speaks for itself, so I don't want to be up here long, a lot of words. But I want to leave you with this. We come together every year to celebrate our lives, our activities, our power, our success, and our failures, and we call it this simple word called pride. We never take a moment to kind of reflect on what that word means. We never actually think about the power that comes from the P, the patience, the persistence that lets us be who we are. We never think about the R, the respect, the resilience that makes our community. We never focus on the I that talks about our individuality, our incredible ability to go from being invisible to invincible. We never talk about the way in which we do these things so passionately. We never focus on the D. One Brooklyn is about being dependable, and that's what we are for each other. And we never focus on the most important part, the E, which kind of punctuates why we're here, is our empathy. If we don't have empathy for each other, we can't be that united one Brooklyn. So I want to thank you for honoring me in the work of the staff that I do. We hope to see you for many years to come.
And 18 years ago, Jerry already said it, along with Jerry Allred, the co-chair was Sonia Galarza. It's a T. Sonia, please stand up. I also want to recognize someone who's been with Brooklyn Pride for a long time. She always comes to the parade, and she has the biggest truck in town. I'd like you to welcome from the FDNY, Brooke. Stand up. Our next honoree is Kaz Mitchell. Kaz serves as the director of Circle of Voices, Inc., COVI, a nonprofit women of African descent and women of color organization in New York City that produces multicultural events. COVI provides a creative arts environment where women of all orientations can exchange information, histories, knowledge, and skills with each other and the community at large through performances, workshops, music festivals, and seminars. Kaz is also the program consultant to Griot's Circle, Inc., a people of color senior LGBT organization. She has served on the board of directors for Black Pride, New York City, Brooklyn Pride, and the Brooklyn Community Pride Center, and has also served as co-chair of economic development at the request of the former Manhattan Borough President C. Virginia Fields for the LGBT Advisory Committee. Kaz is currently co-facilitator for the Callan Lord Community Health Center's Women's Advisory Board and also serves on the New York City LGBT Center's Lesbian Cancer Initiative Advisory Board. She received a proclamation in March 2013 from Brooklyn Borough President Marty Markowitz. Kaz was saluted along with New York State Senator Eric Adams and others in developing Digging Up Da Sista's Roots 2. Did I say that right? Thank you. I'm learning Ebonic, thank you. An annual tribute to LGBT women of African descent. Now that's what it says. You have to know Kaz to know how wonderful she is. She speaks from the heart, she speaks from the cuff, she's not afraid to say things as they are. I'd like to have you give a big welcome, please, to Kaz Mitchell.
He likes women too.
Yes, I do. Whereas on behalf of all Brooklynites, I salute Kaz Mitchell, a prominent member of the community. I commend her for serving as director of Circle of Voices, Inc., an all-volunteer nonprofit organization for women of African descent in New York City, which produces multicultural events in the community. I applaud her for her outstanding record of advocacy, and I thank her for all that she has done to help our community move forward as one Brooklyn. Now, therefore, I, Eric Adams, President of the Borough of Brooklyn, do hereby confer this citation on Kaz Mitchell.
Well, I just want to say thank you, everybody. I started this work with my first two boards at the same time, which was Brooklyn Pride, year 2, and New York City Black Pride, finally. And what changed for me was HIV, because a lot of you know me as being a party diva. But when my brothers started dying and changing, I had to do something. And that opened up doors for me. And I do simply what's right, because I stand before you. August 28th, I will be a 4-year cancer survivor. So to be finally recognized for doing what's right feels good. And being a Bed-Stuy, do or die, if you try, you will die, because I'm going to survive. Black diva, getting recognized in my hometown is the best thing I could ever have with the community that I love and I celebrate and respect. So I'm going to ask all of you to help support all the not-for-profits. I've been blessed to work with Circle of Voices, founded by the love of my life, Jean Wembley, for taking a stand that led to the Women of Color tent, and for putting up with me for the last few years, too. And I just want you guys to know we need you. And when I go to work at Griot's Circle, it is the sweetest thing to work with my elders and hear their stories. And the respect and the love that I get when I walk through the door is unreal. So support us, because we need you. It's not always about money, but that's a big thing. But give us some of your time to help do some of the work. And I want to invite all of you, because Brooklyn Borough President Adams understands. He gave Circle of Voices a gift when we told him about the struggles of Black women in this LGBT community by starting what was developed in the conversation was digging up the sister roots. So we're going to be here back at Borough Hall July 18th, and I invite all of you to celebrate Roberta Stokes, choreographer and dancer, who was the sister who gave birth to a set of twins that formulated Black families for other lesbians. Richard Pelzer, Sean Cruz, our lesbian librarian, Richard Pelzer for Global Network of Black Prides, and we're also paying homage to a wonderful woman, Edwina Bay. If you ever heard of the group IBIS, if you don't know, come to Digging the Sister Roots and enjoy. But I'd like to thank Brooklyn Pride, the Honorable Eric L. Adams, and all that do what they're supposed to do. So God bless and thank you.
Where are our Griot Circle people? Can you stand up for a moment if you're here from Griot Circle? In fact, if you are over 62 years of age, would you stand up, please? Anyone here who is over 62 years of age, would you please stand? Stand up. Jerry Allred just told me on AOL he's not 62. I want to take a moment. You can be seated now, thank you. I want to take a moment and acknowledge, we used to call them our golden saints, and pay tribute to all of you, because you have paved the way for us. And anybody who doesn't know their history is a fool. We need to look to you to give us the stories. And that's one of the things that Griot Circle does so well as organizations like SAGE. We need to go to our elders and look to them for guidance and wisdom. We need to share the stories to the youngers so they don't forget what Stonewall was all about. They don't forget what happened at Castro Street in San Francisco. They don't forget who Harvey Milk was. And you'd be amazed how many people don't know who Edie Windsor is and who Stormy DeLaurier is, or was. We lost Stormy a few weeks ago. We have to share the stories. I also want to acknowledge right now from the NYPD, Sergeant Michelle Martindale. She's outside. She's been with us for so many years. Thank you, Sergeant. Our last honoree, Leigh Thompson, an educator, community organizer, advocate, performer, and artist, has spent the last decade utilizing theater of the oppressed techniques and working for the queer and trans movements. He began his work in the queer movement in 2000 in Omaha, Nebraska. How anyone would begin a queer movement in Omaha, Nebraska is beyond me. In Omaha, Nebraska, as a campaign organizer against the so-called Defense of Marriage Amendment, DOMA. He continued as a community organizer for some years in the Heartland before moving to New York to pursue a master's at NYU. He has studied theater of the oppressed techniques for 11 years and has worked with Augusto Boal on 3 separate occasions. In 2005 and 2006, Leigh served on the Board of Pedagogy and Theater of the Oppressed. In addition to working at the Empire State Pride Agenda and the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, LGBT and AIDS Project, Thompson currently works at GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, as a community organizer. He has worked with many different communities, including refugees, survivors of sexual violence, transgender people, and is currently dedicated to working with and for trans people and queer youth. Leigh co-founded the Forum Project, a project of artist advocates who work to offer methods through which individuals and communities can explore and understand the world, their community, and their lives. Through TFP, Leigh uses critical pedagogy and theater of the oppressed techniques to offer opportunities for community dialogue. Leigh has a degree in theater with an emphasis in directing and has recently received a Master of Arts at Gallatin at New York University, focusing on utilizing creative participation for political and social change. He currently serves on the Board of Pedagogy for the Theater of the Oppressed. He is a queer, gender-bending, trans-masculine person living in a queer, intentional community in Brooklyn, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, before I introduce, let me just tell you a quick anecdote. I met Leigh the first time when he gave a seminar to the leadership of Brooklyn Community Pride Center. Whether you believe it or not, I'm one of those old guys who remember when it was just L and G. Now we have so many letters that I have to initial them just so I can remember them, tattoo them on my hand. But one of the things that stuck with me so much, because to be honest, I don't really understand all the information that's out there about the other letters, and I'll admit I'm trying to learn. Leigh gave an incredible, informative discussion and lecture, and one of the things that was so interesting to me is he told me when you meet someone of the trans persuasion, or really anybody, always ask first, how do you identify, before you say he, she. And it was such a revelation to me that I'm trying to now share it in the courtrooms where I work today. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to S. Leigh Thompson. Whereas on behalf of all Brooklynites, I salute S. Leigh Thompson, a prominent member of the community. I commend him for being known as a social justice artist, an educator, and one who utilizes theater as a tool to express civil rights and critical issues for the LGBTQ community. I applaud him for his outstanding record of advocacy, and I thank him for all that he has done to help our community move forward as one Brooklyn. Now, therefore, I, Eric L. Adams, President of the Borough of Brooklyn, do hereby confer this citation on S. Leigh Thompson.
I'm actually really humbled to be in I guess, in a list of honorees who have done such significant and substantial work, not only for Brooklyn, but for the queer community in general. I feel in the shadows of much of the great work that you're doing, and just want to at least acknowledge that. As somebody who grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, as a queer and trans person in Omaha, Nebraska, I did what I could there to engage in community, but knew the second that I moved to Brooklyn that the one thing that I was really looking for was a community of people that I could really engage, that really understood me, that I could call my queer family. And as soon as I came to Brooklyn, started organizing in my living rooms with other queer and trans folk, and really haven't stopped since. The Forum Project, when we started in 2008, started working with queer and trans young people in New York City. And through that work, through the providers of these youth kept coming up to us and saying, how can we learn more? How can we learn how to support the young people that we're working with? And what we quickly learned was the work that we're doing to support queer and trans young people, to support queer and trans communities, can't stay in queer and trans communities. That it actually has to be work that engages all individuals, not just our allies to the queer and trans movements, but actually to support the queer and trans folk in our community to actually understand the multiple issues of oppression that plague us all. And so with the Forum Project, the work that we do is to make certain that we use these creative theatrical techniques to engage communities in a lot of dialogue around complex issues of oppression, because it's the systems and the structures of oppression that actually uphold all the oppressions that come and attack us all. The work that we do is to make sure that we're working at the intersections of these oppressions. And when we talk about community, the community that I sought to find in Brooklyn, I continued to find in this work, not just with the queer folk that I was working with, that I call my family, but with the people who are coming in to work against racism, the people who are coming in to work against sexism, the people who are coming in to work against ableism and ageism and classism and all the other things that we found that actually uphold anti-queer oppression. I have so much love for the community that I found in Brooklyn. And when people ask me, how is it that we can continue to do this work? What's the real social change that we can make? I find that nothing creates change more than building community. And so I'm really proud and honored to be in a community here in Brooklyn with all of you here sharing in this exciting event. That said, I want to also thank my fiance, who's with me here tonight, who consistently challenges and educates me and gives me such a deep analysis of much of the issues of anti-queer oppression, of fighting against racism. So thank you, Charlie, for all of your support. And also, I have to say thanks to my family, because I have the best parents that any raging queer trans person from Omaha, Nebraska could ever have. And then above that, I have to thank my community of friends and family that are from New York City, from all parts in the world, who come together, who really believe that actually just by us loving each other and supporting each other, that we can actually make a huge difference. So thanks so much.
I'd like to acknowledge a few more people. Is Casey Motley still here? Casey? Casey Motley is the mayor's LGBT representative for Brooklyn and Queens. Through her determination and strength, she was able to secure Mayor de Blasio as one of our grand marshals this year also. So I thank you very much, Casey. I also want to acknowledge Kathy Howe as the chairman of the board of Brooklyn Community Pride Center, and probably one of the people who have traveled the farthest to come up to help with Brooklyn Pride this week, Patty Fisher, who is Jerry Allred's sister. She traveled from Virginia Beach, Virginia, just to be here with us today. She was also here, as I'm being instructed, for the very first Brooklyn Pride Parade. She has come back up in the back. I want to thank Eileen Newman, who has put this whole evening together for us. You really don't know the amount of work that is involved in putting an event like this together. And Eileen has been taught greatly by the master, and now that he's retired, has got to shoulder a lot on her own. We have had a tremendous Brooklyn Pride Week so far. But before I talk about the rest of the week, I'm going to ask Jerry Allred to come back forward for a moment, and the board to come with him, because unfortunately the borough president had to leave quickly because it wasn't just the proclamation. There are a few other gifts we have for Jerry Allred.
Now what? Well, I have to go back to work. No, I'm not coming back to work here. No, folks, that ship has sailed.
Jerry, I want to present this to you. This is actually a replica of the very first Pride Guide back from 1997. It's and then a replica of the cover and our calendar for this year. Ironically, the very first year of Brooklyn Pride Parade occurred on Saturday, June 14, 1997. And here we are 18 years later, and our Brooklyn Pride Parade and Festival is Saturday, June 14th. So Jerry, this is for you.
Thank you, board.
Wait. More.
Now what?
now I'm really getting mushy. Most people ask if Jerry and I are married because we're so bickering at each other all the time. They think we're an old married couple, but we're really not. But if anyone has been an incredible mentor and teacher to me personally, it's been Jerry Allred. But he has taken Brooklyn Pride and he has helped to bring it back to life, I would say by blowing new life into it, but that wouldn't come right from a gay man. I cannot thank him enough. And this is from the board of directors who insisted when we have our award ceremony tonight at Borough Hall that we present Jerry, especially since he's retired, but just because of who he is. It says, Brooklyn Pride recognizes Jerry Allred for his outstanding service as a founder, former co-chair, current treasurer, and much more. With gratitude, love, and respect, the Board of Directors, Brooklyn Pride, Inc., June 12th, 2014.
Mickey, Todd, Hutch, thank you so very much. I'm very touched by this. So I'm not going to say anymore because I'm going to cry. So thank you.
We have had an incredible week so far with Brooklyn Pride. It has been from our very first event on Monday, raising the Borough Hall flag with our Borough President and having Carlos Menchaca speak on Monday, to our interfaith service Monday evening at St. Anne and the Holy Trinity Church, to the event open house at the Brooklyn Community Pride Center. We thank them very much for taking our Tuesday and just running with it and having an incredible event at the Pride Center. Again, I will give a shameless plug. If you've never been to the Brooklyn Community Pride Center, you're missing a lot. Stop by and see what they're up to. And now tonight, our event here at Borough Hall, which will be followed downstairs by music and performances. On Friday, tomorrow, if you're available, at 7 p.m. at the Old Stone House in Park Slope on 5th Avenue between 3rd and 4th Street, the Old Stone House. Sorry? No, it's on 5th Avenue. It's actually between 5th and 4th Avenue, between 3rd and 4th Street. It's a big old stone house. You'll find it. Thank you. Transgendered author Alex Myers wrote a book called Revolutionary, and it's based on a true story of Deborah Sampson, a woman who dressed up as a man in order to fight in the Revolutionary War, or as I call it, a Revolutionary War version of Yentl. So please come if you're available tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. It's an incredible building to see and an incredible story to be told. And then, of course, Saturday, our Brooklyn Pride 18th year. We start at 10 a.m. with our Brooklyn Pride run in Prospect Park. Come and cheer on those who are running. It is, I believe I can announce, it is sold out. We have reached the maximum for our second year in a row. I'm very proud to say this year we have a customized medal that says Brooklyn Pride Run. We have a customized tech running shirt that's being given out to everyone who registered. But come, we need people to cheer on and volunteer and just wave them on. It starts at 10 a.m. sharp. Go in at the 15th Street entrance at Bartell Pritchard Circle. At 11 a.m. starts our festival, our street festival, which Jerry is the coordinator of the festival. We are from 3rd Street and 5th Avenue to 9th Street at 5th Avenue. And we have 2 stages, with incredible entertainment, with hosts such as Ms. Tyler Alexander, one of our board members. Come and see the entertainment, see the vendors, see the markets, see the organizations that are going to be there, showing their wares and making their events. Oh, I forgot to say something. Then also we have our kids space. Of course, Brooklyn is known as the lesbian capital of the world. Many families, now gay men are having families also. Bring your kids to the kids space at J.J. Byrne Park at the Old Stone House. It's a beautiful playground. We're going to have face painters. We're going to have balloon animals, puppetry arts, music. We'll have a great time. And then at 7:30 sharp, at 5 o'clock, the festival ends. We clear everything out. And yes, I'm a little biased because that's my favorite event, is the parade. And many of you will be marching in it. But before I say that, I forgot to say, also on display will be our Pride 18 t-shirt. I'm very proud. We have a very limited number. They'll be on sale tonight downstairs if you're looking to buy one in advance, but they'll also be on sale at the festival for $15. Hey, we got to raise money somehow. Parades aren't cheap. But at 7:30 p.m. sharp at the corner of Lincoln Place and Fifth Avenue, with our Grand Marshals, Mayor Bill de Blasio, Public Advocate Letitia Tish James, Borough President Eric Adams, and Brooklyn's first openly gay city councilman, Carlos Menchaca, we are going to start the Brooklyn Pride Parade. And we're going to start at Lincoln Place and Fifth Avenue, and we're going to go gaily forward down Fifth Avenue, because we never go straight. We're going to go gaily forward, down or up Fifth Avenue, whichever one you want, and we're going to pass by 3rd Street, where our grandstand will be, and the wonderful MC, Ron B. as Tina Turner. And then we're going to continue on to 9th Street as we pass Ginger's and Excelsior, 2 of our sponsors and our wonderful gay bars. And we're going to have an incredible time. If you're marching in it, make sure you're on time. If you're going to be there, bring all your friends. It is an incredible parade. It's not 4.5 hours of painful watching like New York City Pride. It is about an hour and a half, and we have a wonderful time. So please bring all your friends, bring everyone, and let's turn it out. We're expecting between 35 and 50,000 people. Bring them, and let's have a good time. Anything else I missed? Again, I want to thank our board of directors for Brooklyn Pride. We are so happy to be here. Oh, I'm going to say one more word before Jerry says something.
And my thing will be brief. Mickey, thank you so much. He has worked so hard this year. I have to say, really, all the phone calls, text messages, emails, all that stuff out there, Twitter and Facebook stuff, he's been posting away. I just want to thank you for all the work you have done this year for us, for Brooklyn Pride. He has done a lot of work.
We'll see what happens. Now, the formal event is over, but we're going to go downstairs to the rotunda where there's going to be food. And if you look on the back of your program, we have some incredible musical performances by Brian Bailey, Cameron Mitchell-Bell, Matthew Johnson-Harris. They'll be down in the rotunda singing for you, where there'll be food. And then also take a time in the community room. A lot of our local Brooklyn non-for-profits will be tabling there with information for you, so please go find out. And DJ Mimi will be spinning. So let's now show them how to party in Brooklyn. Thank you very much for coming.